Anyway, so last topic here. So what else do we need to have before we start looking at investing? Have savings. So
Yeah.
where do you think you stand on this?
I think they're very important because they form your financial safety net, right? Of course, investing has its own challenges, but I think most of the time, people are more worried about losing everything. Like when there's a big crash, and what if you lose everything and those kind of stuff. So people are more afraid of that, and when a recession hits, I think that is where there's a chance of that kind of thing happening. But more often than not, your biggest worry is what if you lose your income, right? So everything is kind of in line. They work together, right? So you must have your income before you pay down your debts, everything before you invest. But for me, before you enter the market where risk is everywhere, it's very questionable when people say, invest in this, it's not risky, or invest in that, it's less risky. It's how do you value risk, right? So then that is a whole different topic for another day, right? But as long as you're trying to make money with money, there's always an element of risk. It's just how much you understand this risk. How do you mitigate this risk? So before you enter the market, I think that you need to have your own personal risk covered, which is what if you lose the money? What if you lose your job? What if you lose your income? Because your main thing is still the job. The main thing is still the income that's paying you, right? So at least have 1 year worth of living expenses, or like survival expenses, which means like you remove every other thing that doesn't feed your survivability, right? And I think that is a good start. Once you have that kind of savings benchmark, it will make your life so much easier, and you can work from there. Yeah, in terms of whether you want to invest, or whether you want to invest in a new skill so that you can go to another company, you can become an intern, you can change your industry, you can do a lot of things after you have that kind of 1 year worth of living expenses. It makes life a lot easier and more certain. That's what I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, but 1 year, that sounds pretty intense.
Yeah, you can say so. But it's not 1 year of income, it's 1 year of expenses. So I'm already assuming that your expenses are maybe like 50% of your income, or find a way to reach that level, which most people actually can do that. It's not that difficult. First, if you have a car, you have a house, you have all the stuff, you have kids, then that's a whole different topic. But millennials, you just got a job, shouldn't be that difficult. Because honestly, if you can survive on 1,000 RM a month, now that you have 3,000, I'm assuming that you can survive on 1.5 thousand, right? It's there's some sort of assumption there. Of course, we can work on the assumption, but to me, it's not that difficult. So in a year time or half a year's time, you already kind of covered for a year in terms of your living expenses, right? And I think it's also very important to understand the value of time in that essence. While a lot of people would argue that you want to be as early in the market as possible so that you can reap the value of time, I look at this like 1 year or half a year process as a way of validation of learning new skills and confirming that this is what you want to do. And then by then you should be in a much better position to go in, right? But that doesn't mean that I think taking action is of course very important. CS always talk about taking action, so I think that's cool. But you also don't want to be in a rush to do anything, right? It's like these days, a lot of people are like, how do I invest? Chances are all these people will not do well in the market, right? Because they have never been in the market. They don't understand the market. They're just rushing in because people tell them that, market's coming down and you need to buy it, right? So it's a lot of FOMO, a lot of lack of understanding. So build your skill, get some exposure, learn, take your time, and you get there, due time. Don't be worried about missing out this downturn, because we probably have another 6-7 downturns in our lifetime. So yeah, that's cool.
I just wanted to re-emphasize a few different things you mentioned. So you said your bare minimums, right? And I think for most people, they probably don't know where their bare minimums are. So that's actually one of those things when people ask me about oh, how much should I save, or how do I start learning to save? I actually kind of get them to kind of slowly figure out what that bare minimum looks like. Actually live through that for a month to be oh, okay, I understand, this is actually how much I need to survive, right? Because as soon as you actually know that number, you just, from a psychological perspective, you know you're going to be okay, right? And you know it's a lot easier to be okay, I know my bare minimums. If I'm looking for 12 months or a year of this, then I know exactly how much it is, and I know I know exactly how I would live, what I would be eating, where I'd be staying, how I would be interacting, and I guess most importantly, like what's not important to me.
Yes.
So yeah, like I definitely want to emphasize or what you mentioned there. And then there was another thing you were talking about. Man, you say so many things. I just want to like comment on.
Okay, but while you think, let me add on to that part about getting to know your finances. What is survival, right? So I think in one of my podcasts I talk about how to have a healthier relationship with money, and one of that element is called financial fasting, right? It's like like you give yourself a task, you give yourself like a weekend goal, take like 50 RM and go out and see how much you can do, how far you can stretch that, and then in this whole process you will have to make a lot of decisions, right? You have to make like, should I grab or should I, where should I alight? Where should I go? What should I eat? And you give yourself like a minimal, right? It's like 50 RM, and then you work from there, maybe 40, 30, 20 every weekend. You just kind of play around with this, see how far you can go. And this whole process, you actually have to ask a lot of questions. And I think that is the beauty of this kind of like small little experiment, to work with yourself to know, hey, actually, I can have a pretty fun time with like 20 RM. I can do a lot of things with that, in a weekend. So stretch that and just kind of experience a different way of life, and that will be a very interesting aspect to do it. So of course some people go on backpacking, and that is actually how I started getting to know myself in terms of what do I enjoy, what do I not enjoy, what are just some things that I buy because everyone buys, and this whole process of getting to know myself and coming to a healthier relationship with money kind of did start as a backpacker. But you don't need to go backpack. You just kind of do a financial fast over the weekend, do something fun, and see what you can get to know yourself.
Yeah. Okay, so the last comment I wanted to make from your initial thing was the whole idea of like, people trying to jump into this market because they feel like this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. I agree there, we will definitely have more of these opportunities. In fact, we don't even know at this current stage, like where we are in this opportunity, right? Like it could literally just be at the beginning, right? And it might last the next 5 years for all we know, right? But yeah, it's this, when you're saving up this type of money, you're actually like, I guess there's just re-emphasizing the whole idea is like there's multiple aspects of things that are happening here, right? Like you have the money piece that we're talking about of actually being able to invest. And then you also have like the piece of like knowledge, right? Like knowing what you're doing, knowing what you're going to do, like having a game plan, right? Whether that's, investing in stocks and real estate and I don't know what, art or whatever. There's a learning process or a learning curve, right? And when you're going through this process of saving up, you're only using one aspect of this, right? And that's time. The other or not really time, money. The other aspect you're looking at is like time. Like what can you actually do while you are saving up your emergency savings, right? And that's a great time to be like, you know what? Pick people's brains who are doing this as a profession. Try going through forums, listen to podcasts, read books, blogs. Get yourself as exposed as you can to whatever it is that you're looking for, so that by the time you have your savings figured out, you also have the knowledge to actually back up your next steps, right? So I just wanted to add that piece of like, there's both of these things can go parallel together.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, this is CS from More Money Malaysia. We are a platform dedicated to helping Malaysians like you make smart financial decisions. And the way we do that is through providing you with actionable advice, such as the video you just saw, right? But we're not here just to become your intellectual entertainment. We really do want to see you succeed, because we want to see you live that ultimate life that you've always dreamt of, right? And in order for us to do that, what we've decided to do is we want to help make it easier for you by providing different types of rewards throughout the months. So make sure you check out the description below. Click on that link and see what type of reward you might be able to qualify for by taking action right now. And if you have any other questions about any of this, feel free to contact us wherever you find us. Take care.